Hello and welcome to the Soothing Serpent. My name is Kristen Murray, and I'm a registered mental health counseling intern, animal assisted therapy interventionalist, and I have a PhD in urban and regional planning where I specialize in social and economic development in marginalized communities. This podcast is my space to gently explore where policy meets psychology, where systems meet souls. The serpent for me symbolizes transformation, the shedding of that old skin, the slow and mindful rhythm of adaptation. And every week we'll unwind one knot of modern life, a policy issue, a social stressor, or a cultural current, and trace its impact on our collective and individual mental health. Today we begin with a timely and tangled topic, the U.S. government shutdown. As of early 2025, Congress remains deadlocked over spending bills. And as no agreement has been reached, roughly 2 million federal workers are facing furloughs and pay delays. Vital services are paused, and countless families are again feeling the ripple of uncertainty. But this episode isn't about partisan blame. Nope, not at all. It's about how large scale instability seeps into the nervous system of ordinary people, how political chaos becomes personal anxiety. When institutions wobble, people tighten. Our bodies don't differentiate between political threat and personal threat, both register as danger. Every news alert becomes a microdose of adrenaline. Will I get paid? Will benefits pause? Will travel plans change? Will prices go up again? Psychologists and mental health counselors would like to remind us that prolonged uncertainty keeps the stress response partially activated. We hover in flight or flight, heart rate elevated, sleep fragmented, and focus scattered. During shutdowns, even those not directly employed by the government feel ambient stress. The collective anxiety of friends, clients, and neighbors tightening their budgets or bracing for delay. Communities carry this tension together, like static in the air. From my policy background, I've studied how government decisions ripple outward like concentric circles. A single vote on Capitol Hill influences housing stability, healthcare access, food programs, and even mental health funding. When those systems stall, so do the safety nets that provide. A shutdown doesn't just pause payrolls, it pauses predictability. Predictability is one of those cornerstones of psychological safety. Without it, families postpone medical visits. Small businesses freeze hiring. Nonprofits halt outreach, and therapists see an uptick in anxiety clients who can't name why they're so tense. In truth, it's the climate of unpredictability, a slow erosion of trust that makes people feel unanchored. Psychologists have found that their strong social connection buffers stress and even improves physical health outcomes. But political division can fracture those tiny, very connections. Friends, coworkers, families turning away from one another in frustration rather than turning towards each other for support. Every season carries a familiar fatigue, that feeling of here we go again. Over time, repetition dulls outrage and amplifies exhaustion. In mental health terms, that's learned helplessness. When people stop believing change is possible and simply brace for impact. But communities aren't powerless. During previous shutdowns, neighbors cooked meals for furloughed workers, local credit unions offered zero interest loans, and therapists even volunteered for crisis hotlines. Compassion became its own quiet policy, a grassroots stimulus for the spirit. That's where I see hope, not in the denial of dysfunction, but in the reminder that connection remains within our control, even when institutions fall. So let's ground together. If you're listening at home, take a deep breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth. Feel your spine lengthen. Imagine a serpent coiling gently at the base of your spine, not in tension, but in readiness. With each breath, picture that coil loosening, that energy settling, not striking. Say quietly, I can be steady even when systems shake. Feel your feet connect with the ground. You are part of something larger, yes, but you're also sovereign within yourself. The serpent teaches that transformation begins with awareness. Before we shed old skin, we notice where it's become too tight. If this political season feels constricting, take it as an invitation to exhale, to reconnect with your body, your boundaries, and your community. Thank you for listening to The Soothing Serpent. In our next episode, we'll continue exploring how national policy shapes personal psychology, looking at the mental health cost of immigration process and the art of waiting with grace. Until then, breathe deeply, stay grounded, and, like the serpent, remember that renewal often begins in stillness.